I think definitely when you hit those kind of like, I would say even like, yeah, late 20s. Yeah, you feel that switch. It's like you feel it in your core that you need to get a move on. That's just how you feel as a woman. Like mentally, spiritually, everything. You're like, okay, if a man's not going to marry me, I'm out the door. Like that's how you are. And I know a lot of women that are like that. They're very like, oh, I gave him a deadline. He said he's not ready. I'm out the door. Bye. Like that's just how they are. Very rarely will you get women being like, he said he was not going to be ready in 5 years. So I'm just going to wait around for 5 years. They're not doing that anymore. They're not doing that anymore.
Well, I understand that. I guess it ultimately comes down to, are you prioritizing having the family, or are you prioritizing choosing the right man? Because if you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to choose the right man to have a family with, then there may have to be an element of patience. But if you're prioritizing having the family and having marriage, where you're more willing to compromise, essentially you either compromise on the man or you compromise on the time period.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think there's no guarantee, right?
There's no guarantee.
Even if, say, like a guy says, oh, I promise I'll be ready in 5 years. We get to 5 years and he's not ready. Then what?
It's true.
I'm now 35.
There's no guarantee.
As women, you have to be very strict, very cutthroat. Set your deadlines. That's what I say.
So that means they're willing to compromise on the man, not the time period.
Yeah. Because the way it is like there are men out there who are ready.
Yes.
And they're going to be just as great.
Yeah, I would say, and you tell me, I would say though, they're usually somewhere between 7 to 12 years older though.
Yes.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm 30 as well.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends are anywhere between the age of like, actually most of them are older than me. So anywhere between the age of like 28 to 36, right? Even up to 40 actually. And especially guys who are like in their early 30s.
Yeah, they're not ready.
They do not date women in their 30s for this reason.
Yeah, they're not ready.
Because they're like, I know that if a woman's in her 30s and she wants a family and stuff, she's looking to get engaged within the next 18 months and I am not ready for that. 100%. So then here's my question then, because I do hear sometimes from women who are, let's say they are in their, like, let's say they're 33, 34, and they're saying that, oh, guys their age won't date them. Guys their age are dating younger women, right? Is that technically then the right thing for those guys to do? Because essentially,
the ones who can't commit?
So the guys who are in the 30s that maybe around the same age,
who can't commit, not ready to commit.
It's not that they can't commit, but they're just not looking for marriage within the next 24 months.
Yeah. Right? Is it right for them to date younger?
Is it essentially better for them to date younger?
It is absolutely right. And I actually advise them to do that because they need to be leaving the older women alone and going, like, I think this last guy that I was speaking to, I even advised him to do that. I was like, I think you should be with a younger girl. I think you should look at like 23, 24, even 22, because he even said that he had problems with older girls kind of around the late 20s mark. I think one girl wanted him to meet her parents like after a month or 2 or 3. And he was like, oh, this is too fast. But he kept having this issue with girls. But then he was like, but I'm attracted to the older girls. Like I'm attracted to the mature girls because they have the mindset. But I was like, you're going to have to compromise.
So even if because I hear that, that's usually, I think that's an exception to the general what happens. A lot of the time it's, sure, I guess it's the whole thing of guys are attracted to young attractive women, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a thing. But so you're saying even if like a 33-year-old woman wants this 34-year-old guy, he should still go younger.
If he doesn't feel as a man he's spiritually ready, mentally ready, and financially ready, he should leave that woman alone.
Let's say he is, but he just doesn't want to. Not that he isn't in a position that he is, but he's just not looking within the next 2 years.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to take that step, he needs to go and find somebody that is wanting the same things as him. That is
100%,
also,
I agree.
Because what's happening a lot, and I get women messaging me all the time, they're having these issues with guys who are not ready to get married, or say like they don't want to, or they're not in that phase yet, but then they still want to keep those women. They're like, no, she's such a great woman, I'm not gonna like pass up this opportunity. But you need to let these women go.
I mean, yeah, I mean, she can just walk away.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they're doing, right?
But they keep coming back.
Sure, I get that.
This is what's happening.
Do you think less men want to get married today?
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously we have a cost of living crisis, the current climate as well. Like, we can't ignore that. I think it is really hard out here for men. And also, I think men don't see the benefits of getting married anymore. They really don't.
It's
like, they're not getting much. This is how they feel, I think. Women have become a bit more masculine, I would say. So men are kind of like, well, we're not even getting your feminine energy anymore. You're just like detached and you're like running the shots. And also I think they feel like women's standards are through the roof, almost like unattainable these days. It's like, you know, how can we reach women's standards? Because the thing that I'm seeing the most now is men are not even approaching women outside anymore. They're terrified to approach women, and I'm getting DMs every day with men saying like, oh, we don't even want to date. We don't want to date. We don't want to date you guys.
There is a growing,
that's why I said we got a dating crisis.
It's true. There is a growing percentage of guys who are not seeking dating or relationships with women. Yeah. And a big part of it is because there's no nice way to put this, so I'm just gonna speak for the guys. One, a lot of them feel that women are asking for too much for too little of what they bring to the table.
I've been hearing that a lot.
Just being honest, like she wants him to be this, and this, and she thinks her having sex with him is enough value for her to bring to the table. Or like she's like, I am the table. It's like, no, a relationship, you both should be bringing things to each other. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So one, they think that the price is too high. Two, the standards thing. Some of them say they want, you know, Superman. And the truth is, Superman doesn't exist, right? And then the third thing is that unfortunately, he can still get access to sexuality with like, you know, with porn, adult content, OnlyFans. So he can still get enough sexual satisfaction through that exposure.
That's it.
That the risk of actually pursuing it with a real woman just doesn't seem attractive anymore. It's the same with like dating apps and approaching. The second dating apps came out, approaching went down significantly because he doesn't have to risk you not fancying him. He doesn't have to risk you taking it the wrong way or being called a creep. He can just go, cool, if she likes me, we will match. If she doesn't, we won't. So it removes the risk a lot of the time. But I have a question, bit of a harsh question, but I know you can take it. The whole thing of like the standards that women have in their heads. Because a lot of guys wonder, do women ever get to a point where they either realize that doesn't exist or like that's just not the man that she's going to get?
Wow. What a question. I feel like...
I want to establish that it's not that he's not a good man, but we talk about caliber and quality, right? We're talking about caliber.
I think the situation is that women are just needing more from men these days, right? Like women are needing, for example, like what your grandma needed from your granddad is not what we're needing from men these days. We need more. Like your granddad just had to go make money, come home, bring some food on the table, say a few sweet words, and that was it. And your grandma was happy and she was content and they lived a happy life, right? And they weathered the storms together. Nowadays, it's like, no, women want more.
Why?
They need you to be like, not only you need to be that masculine provider man, you also kind of need to be like spiritually aware. You need to be like on some sort of a healing journey. You need to be emotionally intelligent. You need to be like so many things. They need you to be everything. Their life coach, their best friend, their like therapist. Like a lot is needed from you guys now because women's standards are just getting higher and higher.
So I'm going to be honest. This is where they are delusional. That doesn't exist. Like how
Delulu.
like to think that you're going to get all of that in one person is not a thing. It's not like, how can you say, I want you to be my teacher, but also my best student? I want you to be my therapist, but also like, let me be your therapist. Like, I want you to be the masculine provider, but also be my feminine best friend I can go shopping with.
Yeah.
What is that? Like, what you're, not you personally, but what you're asking for, if that's what you're saying you want, like, you're never going to find it. Never.
But that's why we have such a dating crisis right now. And I've seen it
because the women with so many women.
Yeah, they come back and they're just like, I don't know if it's entitled. I think what's happened is genuinely speaking, people are really scarred. Like,
right.
Like, not to get all deep, but like, people really have unprocessed relational trauma that they haven't dealt with, men and women on both sides here. So it's not just we're blaming the men, like it's everyone, right? And the problem is with that is like, the more you go through these negative experiences in life and you get scarred, those emotions just get pent up inside of you, right? And they bottle up and then the jar gets full, right? And trauma is trapped in the body.
Yes.
So most of the time people are self-sabotaging in relationships. Most of the time these women are saying, well, I want this and I want this. It's self-sabotage, right? Not only is it self-sabotage, it's also a way of like, having that control, because in the last relationship, she was probably with a Dusty who she didn't get nothing from, and she felt like she was left depleted because he just siphoned her energy, right? So this is what's happening. They're going from one extreme to another, and people just don't know where they can just be in that safe space, right, with somebody. And everyone's got relational trauma over here, so no one's really healing. Not everyone's investing in life coaches and therapists, or not even that. No one's really even like going to heal themselves, because people would rather just numb the pain by going on dating apps or hooking up with people on random nights out. So it's like, what's happening is no one's having these conversations. No one's being vulnerable with anyone. Vulnerability is not cool anymore. Nobody wants to be vulnerable anymore. So people are getting into relationships and they're going, right, accept me for who I am. And then I'm going to try and work out what's going on in your mind. You're going to try and work out what's going in my mind. Oh, we can't work it out. We're going to split up. That's it. We're going to ghost each other. Why? When really what you should have done is you should have told the person, hey, I have an avoidant attachment style. I tend to go really silent. Like, I need my space. Like, for example, if I get triggered, I need to step back. I might stonewall you a little bit, but I promise I'll come back.
Yep.
But people can't do that. They can't communicate these things because they haven't gone on a healing journey. They haven't sat with themselves. So they're going in relationships and they're putting on these masks and they're going, no, I don't have an anxious attachment style. What are you talking about? No, I'm fine. No, you're not. Your behavior is not normal.
Very true. No, I agree. I think that, you may disagree, I think that the more people, and I know we're talking about women here, they did that healing within themselves, the more they could actually see how they could be happy with a really normal average guy.
Most likely, yeah. But then that work is so painful that a lot of people don't want to go on that work. Like, they don't want to do that work.
I mean, okay, I get that, but then ultimately the results that they're getting, they only have the person that they're looking to be responsible for that is the person in the mirror. No, they can't 100%. Say like, oh, it's because I can't find a good guy or I can't find a good girl, 100%. Whatever. It's like, there are good men and good women.
No, right? 100%, there is. And it's up to you to find them. But then you're not going to find them if you don't feel good in yourself.
I agree, but you're not going to attract them if you're dating purely if you're dating for the wrong kind of values, then you can come across them, but you don't attract them.
Yeah.
You can come across them because they are everywhere at this event, at, this press night, whatever it is, right? They're there. And if they see that, oh, you're that kind of person who chooses for those right values, right? So it's like, for example, like, it's not, let's say like dinner dates, right? It's not that a guy, and because a lot of guys are saying, oh, let's go for a coffee date first, because they want to make sure that the woman is actually interested in him, not what he can do for her.
Right.
Right. The reason a guy will say, let's go on a coffee date, isn't because he doesn't want to treat you if you're the woman he chooses, but he wants to see, are you the kind of character that wants to get to know me and will appreciate the things I do for you, as opposed to the woman who just says, nah, if you're not doing a dinner date, then I'm out, because if you can't do this for me, I'm done. And it's like, okay, that's fine. There's no right or wrong. It's a different approach.
I understand. I do understand. And I really do. I see both points because, as I said, I coach men, so I really get to hear their stories. And I do sympathize with them a lot because it's almost like, we always hear what women want, but then like women aren't really sitting to hear men out. Like they don't even care enough to be like, all right, what do you want? It's like you guys are always trying to educate yourselves on what women want. But women are not doing the same for you guys.
But this is why
they don't want to.
Well, this is the thing. This is why they are not getting the results that they want with the men that they want.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think if they did listen to men a little bit more, then they would be able to like understand how you guys actually think. But then I just want to go back to the date thing, the coffee date thing that you said, because I had a very, very specific encounter with this. And I wonder if you could shed some light on this and kind of explain the thought process behind this.
Yep.
So a while ago, I was speaking to a guy, hadn't met him, we just texting, talking stage, whatever. And he'd asked me to go on a coffee date, but he'd like, oh, I'm going to take you out for a vanilla latte. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was a bit like, well, coffee's not really sexy. Like, also, I don't really drink coffee. I drink decaf, so that's not really going to work. So I kind of wanted to see if he would do something different. That's so boring, taking me out for coffee. Like, am I going out with a colleague? Like, I needed to see something a bit more. I needed to see, like, for me, I needed to see, like, he really put thought into it. Right? So I declined it. I was like, I'm all right, thanks. Like, no, thank you. This is a bit weird. Like, I don't want to be, like, if I'm going to be pursuing, if somebody's going to be pursuing me, I need to see that you're courting me in a way. That's how I saw it. And he was like, oh, why don't you want to go for a coffee? And I said, I'm not going to lie, it's just not my vibe. Like, it's not my vibe. I thought you'd come with something better, to be honest. I was just direct because it did not impress me. And I'm not going to go and sit and have a coffee with this guy when I'm not impressed. So I was like, no, not good enough for me. Cut him off, whatever. He then came back one day, like a few days later, messaged me back and sent me some long paragraph about how in the past he's been taken for a fool with girls and like they've not called him back. He's taken them to like Michelin star restaurants. He's taken them to the Dorchester Hotel. And he was like, I promise I am that guy. I know I've like created this like impression that I'm just some dusty guy. He's like, you're probably thinking he just wants to take me for coffee. And then he just like was going in on how like he now regrets it because he was trying to do like a cost-effective date as a form of like, as a way of him protecting himself, I guess. But now he's like, I've kind of shot myself in the foot, and he kind of put like funny emojis. And I was like, oh, so you did all that, but you're not even that guy. Like genuinely, you wanted to treat me.
Yes. So here's the thing.
So what is that about? But then he lost out on a really good woman. And he was like, I'm kicking myself. He's like, because I swear, like I would treat you. And I'm like, no, too late. Because now I don't know if you're genuine or you're weird.
Okay.
Like, too late.
I get you. I get you. It's true.
Yeah.
That many women take men for fools. And they just use them for attention, for nice outings, right? Now, I know you're like, oh, I want a guy to court me. If he wants me, he'll court me. How does he know that he wants you if he doesn't know you? Because here's the thing, and this is what I was saying, right? The coffee date isn't that he can't be that guy, but he wants to see if it's worth his investment because you are genuine about him. If you meet a guy, right, and you're like, I genuinely want to get to know this person. It does not matter if you're on a dinner table or if you're at Starbucks. Doesn't matter. If you looked at a guy, you're like, this is the kind of man that I think I could actually have a good potential with. It would not matter. But what it does is when you say, oh, I have to be taken for a dinner date, you have to spend all this stuff on me, right? What that says is that all you're looking for is for what a guy can do for you, not what you can both bring to the relationship. Because I'm just being honest, like I understand the women's perspective. I get it. But it just comes across as very entitled because he doesn't owe you anything. And you don't owe him anything. And this is one thing I say, because this is why there are a lot more girls who are like, more escorts and stuff like that. When they're like, hey, a guy has to spend this much on me, that's absolutely cool. You can have that standard. But let me tell you something. If you're going to have that expectation of him, he's going to have an expectation of you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think you can expect a man to pay £400, £500, £600 for a dinner and he doesn't expect you to be giving him some goody, some good dirty stuff that night.
Wow.
I'm just being real.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. And this is how a lot of girls actually fall into being an escort, because they get the lifestyle, but because they have such a casual relationship with sex in their bodies, they're like, well, if me trading sex for this lifestyle, fuck it, I'll do it. So that's why.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll be honest, like, because the thing is, the kind of girl who's like, yeah, I see value in who he is as a man. I'm just going to go for a coffee with him, because you can go for a coffee with him and you can be like, he's not for me. If you know he's not for you, why would you want to go for dinner with him?
Yeah.
Why would you want to spend an entire evening through the entree, the main, dessert and drinks and a bottle of wine if you already know this ain't the guy for me?
I agree. Like, I don't do that. I never go on dates with people if there's not like some level of interest. But
hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.